So, this is the last panel discussion for the day, and it's focusing on reviving our rivers through geospatial technology and collaboration. The moderator for the session is Mr. Vishal Anand, Vice President Sales from ESRI India. And in the panelists, we have Mr. DP Mathuria, Executive Director Technical from National Mission for Clean Ganga, Ms. Jansi Vijayan, Director Multidisciplinary Unit from National Water Development Agency, Dr. Raju Yele. He is the National Director, River Rejuvenation Projects, Art of Living Foundation, and Dr. Rahul Kumar Jaiswal, Scientist E from National Institute of Hydrology. So, with this, I would like to hand over the floor to the moderator, Mr. Vishal Anand.
Okay, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome you all to this exciting panel, I'll say, on a very special and critical topic of the day, which touches life of everyone in current times, basically reviving our rivers through geospatial technology and collaboration. Why it is important? Because it is talking about three important factors here: reviving of rivers, geospatial technology, and collaboration. Without these three pillars, we cannot even talk of our livelihood, which is rivers. My name is Vishal Anand, and I'm the moderator for this panel discussion with you today. And with my four eminent panelists who will discuss about the kind of great work they are doing in their respective fields, how they are using these three pillars effectively and doing some great work in regenerating and reviving our rivers. But before I, get into some curious discussion and questions to all of them, I would like to basically talk a bit about why this is important. And I would like to start from take a cue from what Dr. Pati talked about, CGWB chairman in his session, where he talked about what is the importance of the river recharge, and what is the pressure we are kind of creating on rivers. And then obviously Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Mishra talked about how NMCG is getting into aquifer mapping. He touched about the mapping part and how he's involving community engagement. He talked about Kendriya Vidyalaya and other things. And I learned a great word called, he said about heritage mapping. It's a good word. But I take from there, and we all know India is an agrarian society, how important role of rivers have been in our country from traditional days. The rich culture we have is all about rivers. We have 9 river system in the country and about 400 rivers. And I think the modern lifestyle we have today is creating a lot of pressure on this river. We all know that. We are exploiting these. And rivers like Ganga and Indus are also endangered rivers today in terms of, most endangered in the planet. Think of others one, how we can save that. In the light of these challenges, which are threatening to the whole community as a whole, basically we need an in-depth understanding of the geography. I'll say river is all about geography, from upstream to downstream. Across various region, the river pathway and the associated lot of associated factors. The river come across moment is crossed various regions and state and country. So regeneration is one, revival is one, but we should also talk of the sustainability part, how we can make it our efforts to be self-sustainable. I'm sure we will talk about this with the panelists as well. And GIS technology, as most of the panel members in earlier session has been talking about, is the most instrumental in helping us understand what's happening in the world, why it is happening, and where it is happening. So the where and how part is what we get answers if we use the GIS technology today. And we have representatives from various sectors today, as I said, to deliberate on various action being taken and what gaps still need to be addressed and to realize the vision of revival of rivers. So with this, I open the panel and welcome Dr. Mathuria, who is Executive Director Technical at National Mission of Clean Ganga. I mean, we all know NMCG. Dr. The DG talked about just earlier session. We have Mrs. Jansi Vijayan here, who is the Director Multidisciplinary Unit in National Water Development Agency. And we all know National Water Development Agency is behind many projects. The most eminent being interlinked with rivers. Dr. Rahul Jaiswal from National Institute of Hydrology, getting into major research as far as water sector is concerned. And we have Lengaraju Yale, who is the National Director for River Regeneration Project, Art of Living Bangalore. I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, Art of Living doesn't need any introduction. They've done some great work from last 7-8 years in terms of reviving a lot of rivers which touched many lives and communities. So without taking much time here, let me quickly open the discussion with my first question to Dr. Mathuria. Sir, we all know Clean Ganga Mission is one of the strategic program by Government of India. It started some time back. So, we would like to understand from you, what is the overall vision of NMCG And what is your approach towards the use of geospatial technology in your mission? I heard Dr. Rajiv Ranjan Mishra talking about mentioning it many times as our mission. So the question is twofold. What is the overall vision of NMCG, and how you are using GIS in your approach towards your mission?
Well, good evening, and to this team panel and everyone who is part of this discussion. As you have said, that Director General NMCG has provided an overview of Namami Gange program as well as various components that we are looking into. Plus also the science as well as state of the art technology that is being used for various facets which comprises of rejuvenating a river and a basin river of the basin scale of Ganga. When it comes to the vision of NMCG, the vision, our vision remains and happens to be working for restoring the wholesomeness of the river. And when I say the wholesomeness of the river, I don't mean even the mainstay of the Ganga. I'm talking in context of the entire basin, river comprising of its all big and small tributaries, restoring not only biological, chemical, but also the physical attributes and the properties of the river. So it is a very Herculean task. It's a big task, and it not only covers the scientific aspects, but also socio-economy, as well as one of the aspects you have touched is heritage. And given the nature of the task that is before us, we are extensively using various state-of-the-art technologies, including GIS. In fact, the robustness of the GIS is not, hasn't been ignored by us, and it is being used in a much greater way. You almost, I'll be at loss of the word to say that GIS and geospatial technologies are being used in every aspect, every project, every study that we are undertaking, whether it is for sewerage infrastructure interventions or industrial pollution abatement, or say, for example, cultural mapping, afforestation activities, restoration of the biodiversity, even going in for public interaction, opening up of IC activities, creating a buzz among the common people about the efforts that we are doing and how important river conservation is. So almost in every activities we have been extensively using. Yes, some of the specific areas are worth mentioning. In fact, our approach has been to map all the not only point but also non-point sources of pollution on some geospatial platform for not only ease of the learning but also greater presentability, and that forms a vibe as well as space on our dashboards that we are developing. And I must tell you that we in Ministry of Jal Shakti do have a National Water Informatics Center wherein entire data, be it of the water quality, resurface water quality, or quantity, it is being collected for retrieval at a later date, and that center is using GIS in a big way. I mean, everything. There are about 100 plus attributes that are being displayed on geospatial in the form of geospatial maps, and everything is in public domain. And then we have started, in fact, we are midway somewhere to map a buffer on both banks of Ganges for a buffer of about 10 kilometers on either side to create a very high resolution digital elevation models. The purpose is to create a baseline against which our interventions will be speaking from themselves as to what are the baseline conditions against which we want the river stored. And then we do have some high end, for example, we are trying to map the microbial diversity of the river, again on the geospatial platform. So these are high end technical interventions that we are trying to recreate as well as to create a database. So vision remains to be to restore the wholesomeness of the river, both in terms of biological, physical, and chemical characteristics. And objectives and this vision will be met through use of state-of-the-art technologies, including GIS. So this has been the overall approach. And then the addition to the approach remains that basin remains our unit of planning and understanding and working. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Maturia.
Thank you.
I totally agree with you, because you mentioned you have a Hercules task. I really it's unimaginable when you talk of having a cleaner Ganga in a span of time. I know it's very, very difficult because it's talk about many moving parts on a day-to-day basis, how to fix that up. And I think one point you really mentioned and catches my attention is, state-of-art technology, and you're kind of displaying a lot of attributes for a public as well. So when you talk of community engagement, and I also heard somewhere that, you involve a lot of students in your community activity. You're doing a lot of contests so that, awareness is given at a grassroots level or a school level itself. And of course, the dam you are trying to create for the right of ways around Ganga, will that be available for general public as well, or it will be only for your use or government use?
Well, as of now, it is meant to be used by us as well as other government agencies, and we are open to these questions at a later date. So yeah.
Agree. So I think we will talk about this later.
Hmm.
So I think with that, that's the stage which is set up by Dr. Mathuri. I want to now quickly go to Jhansi ma'am. Ma'am, we all know what NWDA has the major charter of ILR. It always ILR come to my mind, and sorry for that when you talk of NWDA. But today I would like to talk to you or ask you something else, something to do with riverine ecosystem. Also, we call it LOTEC ecosystem, in slang things. So can you let us know more on the strategies being adopted by NWDA and your division per se for river regeneration, and the role of geospatial technology can play for sustenance of riverine ecosystem per se, or riverine environment, if I say it correctly.
Yes. Good evening, and thank you, sir, giving me this opportunity. And good evening to one and all those who already joined for the webinar. And here I wish to say is that NWDA is an autonomous agency set up in 1982 under the Ministry of Water Resources, now under Ministry of Jal Shakti. And our main function is to have optimum utilization of water resources of the river basins of India, both coming under peninsular and Himalayan regions. So do scientifically the water balance studies begin with, and then realize the water resources available in river basins during monsoon season and non-monsoon season, and see the applications further and prepare detailed project reports, feasibility reports, starting from feasibility report, and detailed project report of various linked projects coming under both the National Perspective Plan under Himalayan as well as Peninsular region, and other intra-state river links suggested by state governments. If we see the NWDA's program as per the interlinking coming under NPP, we already mentioning that it is providing additional benefit to irrigation, power generation, and navigation facilities, socio-economic development, and enormous environment opportunity of the region. So if we see that for sustenance of the project, whether it is sustenance, why it is creating this type of concrete study is that if we take a riverine area, then we have to see that how much extent the water holding capacity of the river should be kept for sustenance of the region. So if we see that rivers are lifeline of human generations, like blood veins in our body. If blood pressure are high or low, the health of the body will influence. Same way in the river, if floods are coming and a drought-like situation arising in riverine areas and environment, the health of the river is going to affect. And health of the region, not only health of the region and river, even it is affecting the socio-economic status of the people, employment of the people, and overall health and well-being of the society living to the region concerned. So our implementation is to tackle those things through the optimum utilization of water resources, and thereby we study reports prepared, water balance study reports we prepared, 137 basins of sub-basins and 71 diversion points where we can divert during the monsoon period to water short areas and store at appropriate locations, identified storage sites, So we also conducted 37 link alignment study and 74 reservoir sites topography studies, and identified 16 link projects under peninsular component and 14 link components under Himalayan component. We also interacted with state governments, and we received 47 intrastate link projects from various state governments from the states of Maharashtra, Gujarat, Jharkhand, Odisha, Bihar, Rajasthan, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Chhattisgarh. So all these projects, we are in the developing stages, and some of them are even in the final stages of completion. And we, NWDA, as per the direction of the Supreme Court, we also constituted a special committee under Ministry of Jal Shakti for taking care of the interlinking project aspects and its issues. So that committee is going on and giving advices and seeing the alternative proposals if we could develop and if we could discuss with the consensus of the state government. It is going on mutual understanding basis. So, and again, NWD is also acting as an agency for under PMKSY, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, and Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program under for the 99 projects identified by the Ministry of Jal Shakti, and acting as an agency for borrowing fund from NABARD and then giving to the concerned state governments for developing the project in a time-bound basis, because we see the water sector, lot of delay is coming in the project because of non-fund availability and various other issues. So even in the Central Water Commission is also coordinated with the project to have inspection, and WAPCOs also involved to have project monitoring unit, and we also identified one each nodal project for each project, so that the coordination can be possible in a meaningful manner and time-bound manner.
Thank you, ma'am. I think that was good insight on how various organizations can work together. You just now mentioned. I think I like that. And also, one important point what you mentioned, I would like to highlight here: water capacity for sustenance of a region. Both under and over usage is harmful. I think this study what you are doing will definitely help eventually the interlinking of rivers. And you also mentioned focus on social economic development. I mean, everybody is talking about this part of the community and how eventually we are helping the social economic development with any of the work we do. And this I think encourages me to go to Dr. Yale here, because reviving our river is not the sole responsibility of government or one department. It has to be a effort which is together. There has to be a kind of synergy and complementing efforts, including community engagement and grassroots leadership, and of course efficient project management. And eventually we also need to get a lot of feedbacks that how our projects are going and delivering. So I think with this, I would like to ask Dr. Yale. Dr. Yale, we all know that you and your team has done under AOL leadership, the project what you started in 2013, and how you have kind of revived 43 rivers in 4 states, benefited millions and millions of people and a lot of villages. So what are the different cooperative and collaborative efforts being undertaken at different level to address this issue of revival? And how do you see the role of geospatial technology in your efforts? If you can give us your views on this. We know a National Institute of Hydrology has been leading the capacity building and R&D initiatives for the water sector in the country. Yesterday, Government of India announced the new geospatial policy, and much talked about in the initial session today, which will definitely open up a lot of map data availability to everyone. So what I want to ask you is, how do you see this policy supplement the efforts which your organization is taking in terms of R&D? How this will supplement your efforts?
Actually, yes. Thank you very much for inviting me. And as all of you know that National Institute of Hydrology, it is one of the premier research organization under Ministry of Jal Shakti. And we are having a headquarters at Roorkee. And we are having 6 regional centers across the country, where almost all the country we cover. We cover all the aspects of hydrology and water resource management, right? Start from Himalayan region to down south in the Chennai and all these north to south and east to west. So we cover whole the country. And as we all know that hydrology and its distribution, hydrological process, it depends on a lot of spatial and temporal information. As Madam has already told that that NWDA, they have carried out several water availability studies. So in water availability, water availability has been carried out some 10 years ago or 12 years or 20 years ago. That water availability will change now because of change all these spatial parameters like then climate change and all these aspects. And for this the geospatial data, they are definitely key inputs. All these models, if you know that advanced modeling techniques are available now, we apply in our studies for carrying out that hydrological process, how much water is going down to the earth, or how much is recharging, how much we are getting as a runoff. All these data are depends on land use properties, soil properties, topography, etc., etc., and all these are spatially varied. So if these, there is a policy that everybody can get a good spatial data. Also, this thing is very important. How that resolution data you are getting. If we get a good resolution, then we will come to know that we will come to conclude that how much good modeling will be there, how much that availability study we can conclude it for that benefit of our own people. So this is very important aspect that good quality data, it should be available to everybody. Nowadays, it's a good effort as a Google Earth engine is available, where a lot of spatial informations of whole worlds are available. And this data, but problem is that these data are of very coarse resolution. But if we want to model or we want to do some study, some scientific conclusions we want to, then we require the data which are of very fine resolution. So if somebody wants to do some flood type of mapping, then we require these geospatially, which is carried out either by some private agencies or some government agencies, but they should be available to all of us. Then only we can solve our problems, because our problems are wide and varied. We do what are the model which is applicable in Himalayan region? Not necessary. It may be useful for some other reason, because our topography is different, their geology is different. So when we want to do a good conclusion, then definitely we require that our spatial database, it should be strengthened, it should be available to everybody, and I'm definitely, we all should be happy that now government is focusing that these data should be available. Because what happens earlier when we do some study in Ganga basin, then there's problem. We do not get some runoff data of that basin because of some problems. So definitely issue will be there, but there must be some guidelines, and these data should be available to us. When this data is available, then definitely it will be helpful to our society, and we are definitely provide trainings to all these water resource engineers in the country. All states are getting trainings from NIH. It is in the field of hydrology. We provide training to all. So if we are having good database, then we can give support to them also, and we can teach them also. So in my view, it is very important that these data should be made available. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that was good view from the perspective of research and development and training. I think you said it should be available first, and then everything not fit to all, because of the kind of work you do and the kind of work happen elsewhere is different. But I think just remaining on the same topic, I would also like to understand the similar perspective from Mrs. Jency, because you are an implementing agency. You know, we heard it from Dr. Jaiswal from the perspective of research, how this policy will help you driving and accelerating your programs from the perspective of implementation. So quick view from your side.
Yes, yes, sir. When we were doing this interlinking of rivers and interlinking rivers also, we have found a lot of difficulties in getting good data. So with the policies also, because of the permission we have to take from Survey of India, then ISRO and all other concerned divisions, and all these divisions were acting differently without any coordination also. Some are gathering this, some are gathering other sort of things. When we come to interface in water transfer, and we have to see a lot of layered data information is necessary. For saying that water requirement, when we computing the water requirement for the basin, in the present as well as the future scenarios, we have to see the various sectors, industrial sector, domestic sector, and agriculture sector. So the concerned data, if we could available on GIS platform in a layered format, then we can do it in the time-bound basis and using the latest data available also. Because when we are doing our water balance studies, we were doing for earlier period. After 10 years, we are revising it also. But when we see that while revising the water balance, we are not able to get the standard data which are available at present. Even from the state government also, we are finding difficulty about the proposed projects and the committed utilization and the planned utilization and command area which we there suggested and cropping pattern requirements. All these things we are giving lot of, at a point we are stacking up to complete our things. So even in the Ken Betwa, that is the one of the priority links of NWDA, even still today we are not able to finalize the water sharing agreement between the state government, because they want to use more water for cultivating more irrigated land. So if we can project those things in the layered format, so that we can present in front of our Prime Minister also, in front of our Minister also, in front of the decision-making authority also, it will give a lot of inside view, and the projection decision making will be give more impact. So we feel that this policy 2 days before introduced by the government, geospatial, in that Prime Minister, our Honorable Prime Minister already mentioned that liberation of policy governing the acquisition and production of geospatial data is a massive step in government vision for an Atma Nirbhar Bharat. So if we wish to see these things, then we have to coordinate our agencies in a common platform and use the data acquired, whether it is past or present or for the future, how we can interconnect with each other and use those projects beneficial for the society. Otherwise, if we see in India, each year, flood is a common practice which is going on in our country. Is it because of not getting data? Is it because of mismanagement of the firms? So we have to now think about it and do the things.
Thank you, Mrs. Vijayan. And I think, yes, you said it rightly. It's a historical announcement, and we said it all, that it will definitely benefit to everyone, right from researchers to implementing agencies and many more to join in. So let's see how it unfolds. So I see Dr. Yale is back. Sir, I am sure I will again try to repeat what I said, because your audio was not okay that time. So what I wanted to understand from you, when we're talking about the socio-economic development and the community part in revival of rivers, so what I asked is that what are the different cooperative and collaborative efforts being undertaken at different level to address this issue of revival, and how do you see the role of geospatial in your efforts?
Yes, thank you, Vishal. Sorry for the technical problem we had. Anyway, and it is very important to understand the dynamics of the river and also understand the river as a riverine ecosystem. It is not only just a stream flowing. but it has its multi-directional movement in the groundwater, and it is interplay of atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere. So if we understand the river in its holistic thing, we can plan how to apply these technologies. Technologies will help us. First thing is the domain expertise should be there to understand how the geological processes that happen, and the techniques to make our job easy, to analyze the causative factors first of all. Why we had a very good movement in the river, and we used to have that environmental flow, there was good vegetation and all that. How that got degraded. To identify the causative factors, the geospatial technology is very useful, because in a synoptic way we observe what is happening, what kind of land use was there, and repeated change detection could be made, and also identify what are the factors we made the river dry. So that is one part. After understanding the causative factors, we need to understand how the natural processes were operating to make the river life. So in that case, we need to have a mix of the geospatial technology as well as the domain knowledge of subsurface and also the ecosystem, entire ecosystem. So there should be proper understanding and also planning to prepare the plan of action, where what should be done, and how that can help. Here, this is a multidisciplinary subject, and also it is always good with the involvement of the community, because the local people know what were the problems, and it is not only the data that will help, but also what has happened after, what kind of interventions made, and also to make the community involved, we have to bring awareness on the negative side of the human interventions. So geospatial technology will help us in these kind of things. Next slide. So we have to understand the river as a riverine ecosystem. Each and every village will be always coinciding with some micro watersheds. So the action plan that we make in each of the micro watersheds, depending on the soil, subsurface, the geomorphological features, and the hydrological features, will enable us to come out with the effective, innovative, effective, and environment-friendly actions. That is what we did in our projects. Go to the village, talk to the people, use also this remote sensing technology to understand at what point, what are the processes that were operating, and what kind of, for example, there was a lake, and all the streams were, lake is also a part of the entire river system. So I take an example of a lake. Lake will have the stream network which will carry the water to the lake, but because when you ask the people there, the old people will tell, here we had a thick forest, and how the agriculture forest was taken over by the agriculture and over exploitation. All that stories we can even with the
we are majorly pressed for time. I'm sorry for that. I mean, but I think I want to give you 1 minute more to talk of a success story. Sorry, it's a great discussion, but we are very much pressed with time. So just quickly tell us one successful project or a story around revival before I.
There are many success stories. Now that one Kumudvati, which was providing drinking water to Bangalore, has come out with very good water levels rising, and the bore wells are yielding more water, and also a lot of vegetation cover has come up. Using the remote sensing technology, we have been able to assess the impact, what kind of greenness increased, and even we are going for IoT devices to monitor the water levels, and also to educate the farmers to monitor themselves at a panchayat level. We are now working at a panchayat level, bringing awareness on their water budgeting, and also to plan their water security in their area. And also we are identifying the wastelands where the streams start. There we are going for eco-restoration by increasing the soil moisture, increasing the vegetation cover. For all this, we are using the geospatial technology at different levels, starting from satellite remote sensing to the drone survey, and also the using GIS and GPS to locate. We educate the community to how to use the GPS and what locations we locate for the different structures. They will go with their mobile apps and collect the data, and also locate the sites where we exactly suggest the structures. So that kind of down to earth, up to the grassroots level, from the the entire riverine ecosystem to the each and every cell of the river system is addressed by the use of this technology. It is very useful, and it will reduce a lot of our fieldwork, and also it gives a synoptic view, and also the changes that being occurred, and all that has become a practice, and we are repeating it in different river basins with some modifications.
Thank you. I want to have a last one from Dr. Mathuria, because Dr. Mathuria, we talked about a lot of strategies being implemented, and all lot of organization being working here. A very quick one from you: how can we make this self-sustainable going forward, the entire mission?
Few, as you have said, that sustainability is the key to the operations. The government cannot continue pumping funds for the river conservation endlessly. I mean, the schemes, the infrastructure, the assets being created, as well as the activities should be viewed in such a manner that they remain sustainable, and technology is a key to that. In fact, for sustainability in infrastructure projects, we are going in for operational sustainability. In fact, a 15-year O&M support is being provided, so that there is a habit of our ULBs to operate the plants, which remains the crux of the issue. We had an experience since Ganga Action Plan 1 and 2. So operation and maintenance happens to be key. And then we are using, as I've said, we are using best of the techniques. For example, SCADA system to capture real-time or near real-time data to see the functionality of the system. And again, this is imbibed on a GIS platform. So use of technology, use of the sensors, creating a dashboard which is available to the top planners and the managers to see where the system is functioning and where it is not functioning, as well as to create a interface between government functionaries and other stakeholders, which happens to be the big population, students, academia, general people who for them the river happens to be the lifeline, in fact. So these are the approaches through which we are trying to create a framework, sustainable framework. And then one thing which I have probably forgotten to mention, we are looking at the rivers in a way, city rivers, river cities. We are bringing in river in a big way, leveraging them within the urban city management plans, master plans, which is often missed. And these steps, although appears to be small, but they will bring about a paradigm shift in thinking as well as implementation philosophies. So this may bring better results in sustainable operations. So the efforts which are being experimented here are being grounded here.
Thank you, Dr. Mathuria. I think you said a lot of things. You talk of technology, community, inter-organization, the mapping, and it will definitely lead to the self-sustainable, and that's what we are looking for. So I think the great discussion we had, thanks to all of you, the eminent panel we have, right from research to implementation to a massive program like NMCG, and some great work being done by Art of Living. So thank you so much. I think great deliberation, and I think we all had a great insight from all of you.